Hey everyone, and welcome back. Today I want to talk about an idea that really made me think, an idea that I believe holds profound implications for how we live our lives, how we connect with others, and ultimately, how we shape our very identity. It's about the quiet, often overlooked power of consistency, specifically how the small, positive actions and expressions we choose to embody day in and day out have an astonishing ability to unconsciously transform us and foster the deepest forms of trust and connection in our lives. The core of what I want to share today is this: we become, in the eyes of others and in our own being, the sum total of our consistent, seemingly small positive actions. It's not about grand gestures or trying to project an image. It's about the genuine, repetitive act of expressing kindness, gratitude, or warmth, and watching as these actions organically, almost magically, weave themselves into the fabric of who we are, creating a powerful, positive ripple effect. Our insightful guide for this journey recently shared a personal observation. He's noticed that when he utters his customary warm greetings, those phrases like hello, welcome, and warmly welcome, that he uses to greet his audience, he finds himself unconsciously smiling. It's not a forced smile, but an authentic, involuntary wellspring of joy that bubbles up from within. He describes it as feeling familiar, something he says every week, yet still loves to say. This isn't just a habit, it's a source of genuine happiness, a joyful expression he feels compelled to repeat. He even draws a parallel to saying, "I love you," a phrase often dismissed as sentimental or cheesy, but which he wholeheartedly encourages. If you feel it for your loved ones, he says, express it daily, just like a thank you. It's spoken because it's felt, and the continuous expression of these heartfelt words, whether it's love or a warm greeting, starts to create an association. People begin to link you with that positive sentiment, and suddenly, without even trying, your life becomes unconsciously imbued with a beautiful, positive value in the eyes of others. Now, let's unpack this concept further with a compelling story shared in the text, one that truly brings this idea to life. Our narrator recounts a habit he's had for years, consistently thanking service staff. Whether asking for a menu, a wet tissue, or anything else, his response is invariably, "Thank you." This wasn't something he was born doing, it was a practice he cultivated over time, initially a conscious effort that, after many years, transformed into an automatic, ingrained habit. Initially, his friends who observed this didn't pay it much mind. But eventually, they started noticing. Why does he thank them so much? They'd wonder. Why is it necessary to thank someone just for doing their job? This common skepticism highlights just how unusual genuine, consistent gratitude can be in our everyday interactions. Our narrator simply told them, "I like to thank people. Is that okay?" A simple, honest expression of his inclination, not a calculated strategy. Then came a truly revealing moment. He was at a restaurant with friends, and as he was about to ask a waiter for something, one friend sitting beside him nudged the others and whispered, "Get ready. He's about to say thank you." And sure enough, he did. Think about the significance of that moment. His gratitude wasn't just noticed, it was anticipated. It had become such an integral part of his character, so consistent, that his friends could predict it. This wasn't about him trying to project an image of gratitude. He simply acted from a place of genuine appreciation. Yet, in their minds, he had become synonymous with the grateful person. This is where the magic of consistency truly shines. It transcends intention and becomes identity. But the story doesn't end there, and this is where the profound impact of this idea truly emerges. This ingrained habit of expressing simple gratitude led to something far deeper than just being seen as polite. It fostered an incredible level of trust. Our narrator shares that over time, people, including his friends, began to confide in him. They'd share stories, even deeply personal. My highly sensitive matters they hadn't told anyone else, not even their own families. Some of these stories were so serious, so confidential, they were top secret, matters in their lives. Now, he's quick to point out that he doesn't feel proud of this in a boastful way. In fact, listening to such profoundly negative or challenging stories can be incredibly difficult and emotionally taxing. It requires immense mental fortitude to truly listen, to be present, to absorb the weight of another's struggles. But he expresses deep happiness and joy in being trusted. And this is the powerful insight. Could it be that this deep level of trust, this willingness to confide the most private aspects of one's life, stems from those very ordinary habits, like consistently saying, "Thank you"? I believe the answer is a resounding yes. Consider why this is. When someone consistently demonstrates small acts of kindness, respect, and gratitude, even in routine interactions, it signals something fundamental about their character. It shows they are attentive, that they value others, that they are considerate, and perhaps most importantly, that they are reliable. Trust isn't built on a single grand gesture, it's meticulously constructed brick by brick, through 1,000 small, consistent, authentic interactions. Someone who consistently shows gratitude isn't just being polite, they're demonstrating an underlying empathy and a recognition of the humanity in others. This creates a safe space, an aura of genuine care, that makes people feel seen, respected, and therefore safe enough to open up their hearts. It tells them, this is a person who cares, a person who respects, a person who might genuinely listen without judgment. It's fascinating, isn't it? Without him ever setting out to be the trusted confidant, his consistent, uncalculated actions of simple gratitude quietly built a bridge to the deepest chambers of others' hearts. This isn't about manipulation or strategy. It's about authentic behavior organically shaping perception and connection. Here's the profound takeaway from all of this. If you find something that brings you joy, something good, something positive, whether it's a warm greeting, a word of thanks, or an act of kindness, just do it. Do it consistently. Don't worry if it seems insignificant or if others deem it sen or overly sentimental. Because here's the truth, these aren't innate qualities we're born with. As our narrator wisely states, we aren't born knowing how to thank people or how to offer genuinely warm welcomes. These are practices. They are actions we choose to repeat, day after day, until they cease to be mere actions and become part of our very being. And in doing so, two incredible things happen. Firstly, in your own life, these actions become a source of genuine, unconscious joy and fulfillment. You become the person who embodies these values. Secondly, and perhaps even more remarkably, in the eyes of others, you build an invaluable identity. You might find yourself associated with incredible, positive values, earning trust, respect, and deep connection in ways you never intended or even imagined. You don't have to try to be a good person. You simply become one by consistently performing good actions. So, if there's one thought I want you to carry with you today, it's this: the most powerful version of yourself, the one capable of inspiring deep trust and genuine connection, isn't born overnight. It's cultivated quietly and consistently through the smallest, most heartfelt actions. What small, positive ripple can you choose to send out into the world today, knowing that it might just, over time, become the very current that defines you and profoundly enriches every relationship you touch. When you're truly left to your own devices, what does that reveal about you? Why am I harping on the spontaneous, the unexpected? Because here's the thing, if you suddenly find yourself alone with unexpected free time, what do you do with it? Where the answer to that question reveals whether your actions stem from an existing wellspring of personal capital, a reservoir of things you genuinely enjoy and value, or if you're simply at a loss. If you find yourself bored, aimless, or completely unsure how to fill that time, it's a telling sign. It means that the inherent capital of your inner life, the quality of your personal well-being, might not be as rich as you think. I know that might sound a little abstract, maybe even a bit confusing. So let me paint a picture with an example. Imagine you've made plans for tonight, a dinner date with a friend at 7 p.m. You've been looking forward to it. Maybe even skipped lunch to save room for that specific dish you plan to order. You've got it all mapped out. But then it starts to rain, and I don't mean a gentle drizzle. We're talking a torrential downpour, streets flooding, the kind of rain that makes leaving the house an impossibility. Suddenly, your carefully laid plans are completely washed away. You're forced to stay home. This is a classic case of being unexpectedly alone with unallocated time. So, what do? How do you fill these unforeseen hours? Here's where the real insight lies. If you can genuinely enjoy this unexpected downtime, if you can find joy and fulfillment in it, then you're a person with a rich and resilient inner life. But what if you find yourself floundering, pacing restlessly, feeling utterly bored, with no idea how to occupy yourself? You might grab a book, read a few pages, get bored, and put it down. Then you scroll through short videos for a bit, lose interest, and toss your phone aside. Maybe you try to tackle some work, only to give up after 5 or 10 minutes, feeling just as restless. You might text a friend, try a video call with someone else, but even those conversations fizzle out after a few minutes. In short, if this unexpected solitude forces you to confront the fact that you're mostly just wasting time, doing things that feel meaningless, then it's time for some self-reflection. It suggests a lack of inner capital, a void where meaningful purpose could be. We simply don't have enough meaningful assets within ourselves, because if we did, we'd immediately pull them out and put them to use. Let me give you a personal example. My backpack always has books in it, not for any high-minded, complicated reason, but simply because I love to learn. That's my capital, learning. So, if I suddenly find myself with free time, or if plans unexpectedly fall through, I immediately have an activity I deeply love and find incredibly fulfilling. I pull out a book and start reading. And it's not just one book. I often carry several. Most of my backpack space is dedicated to books. Some days, when it's too heavy, I even have to leave my iPad at home. Only if absolutely necessary will I bring a laptop. Other gadgets, like iPads, they can stay home. It's that serious for me. This means I have an activity that genuinely makes me happy, that I'm proud of. The key is that you feel a sense of pride and immediate engagement with the activity. Especially during this kind of passive, unexpected free time, it shows that, wow, this person has a good, meaningful activity in their internal storehouse, ready to be accessed. We're not talking about success here, or grand achievements. We're simply talking about having an excellent, meaningful activity ready and waiting in your personal inventory. The more of these storehouses someone has, the happier and more wonderful their life becomes, because there's no wavering, no confusion, no meaningless downtime. Of course, some of you might say, what about gaming? Can I play video games? And to that, I say you have to be honest with yourself. Games are easy and they're fun because games are designed for entertainment. I'm not talking about professional esports athletes who experience a different kind of stress. For recreational players, yes, you'll feel happy while playing. But there's another layer to this, isn't there? How do you truly feel about playing games? Are you proud of it? Do you feel that it genuinely adds meaning to your life? If you do, then absolutely go for it. This is subjective after all. If you find meaning and happiness in it, why would I try to change your definition of happiness? However, if you find yourself thinking, my salary is this much, I should be doing this, I should be learning that, but instead I'm playing games, and you feel guilty about it, then you know the answer. This is about being honest with yourself, not with others. It's a self-assessment. So, to reiterate, if an activity makes you feel proud, if it makes you think, wow, this is amazing, this is excellent, then pursue it. But if it leaves you with a feeling of guilt, a sense that you're wasting time, or any other negative feeling, then it's time to re-evaluate. It's as simple as that. And this brings me back to the central idea I want to emphasize. If each of us has an internal storehouse of activities that we can immediately pull out and engage with when unexpected free time arises, activities that make us feel interested and meaningful, that, my friends, is a powerful indicator of happiness. I see this as a personal treasure trove for each of us, like a backup battery for life. Because it genuinely provides energy, doesn't it? It makes you feel good and stable. And this treasure trove of activities, it's incredibly rich, incredibly diverse. Some people, when they find themselves with free time, they write poetry. And that's a wonderful thing. Don't ever think that writing poetry is easy, or that it's meaningless. If you just take a moment to consider history, you'll find that poems have carried immense significance. Sometimes we see them as ordinary, but that's only because we haven't grasped their historical context or the true power they wielded. In this world, not everything we dismiss as insignificant truly is. So, poetry is one avenue. Others might turn to playing a musical instrument. Whenever they're free, they pick up their guitar or piano, and they find pure joy in that simple act. Now, you might be tempted to dismiss these as mere hobbies, right? And this brings me to a little tangent, just a quick detour about a common habit we all share. We often look at certain actions, like writing poetry or playing music, and we immediately apply a very material, very practical lens to judge them, and more often than not will declare them to be useless. Won't we? Oh, you write poetry, how pointless. You play an instrument, what a waste of time. There's this pervasive prejudice, this immediate judgment. But here's the thing, that perception of uselessness stems entirely from our limited perspective. We see no immediate, tangible return on investment. However, what if you were to shift your mindset? What if you transformed that seemingly trivial activity into a subtle, quiet mission, even if it's just a mission in your own mind? Suddenly, that activity wouldn't feel ordinary at all. Still not quite grasping it. I know I'm getting there. Let me elaborate. Think about poetry again. Why do people write it? First, to appreciate beauty, and second, to find a certain calm, a certain serenity for their soul. Now, if you alone are experiencing beauty and calming your own soul, that might still seem personal, maybe even a bit ordinary. But what if you shifted that? What if your mission became helping others experience beauty, helping others find that serenity? Suddenly, it's not meaningless anymore, is it? You're no longer just indulging in a personal pastime, you're expanding its reach, making it profound. You see how it magnifies? It's the exact same action, but viewed through this new lens of mission, it becomes bigger, more meaningful, more grand. The action itself was never meaningless, nor was it ever lacking. It was merely our perception, our biased viewpoint, that diminished it. Consider the person who plays an instrument when they're suddenly free, or sad, or stressed. Clearly, that instrument, the act of playing it, possesses certain healing and soothing qualities. Instead of succumbing to sadness, turning to unhealthy coping mechanisms, or acting out impulsively, they channel their sorrow into the notes, into the sound. Isn't that a positive outlet? You might still dismiss it if you're just playing for yourself, thinking, oh, this contributes nothing to society. But again, elevate it. Give it a mission. What if your life's mission, for example, was to use music to help others overcome depression? Suddenly, it feels monumental, doesn't it? Because you're directing someone's enjoyment, their profound experience, and even their pain into music. That, my friends, is anything but ordinary. I'm reminded of the Coldplay and Selena Gomez song, Let Somebody Go, which has a line that goes something like, "You can turn my grief, my pain, into a song." I think that's such a powerful line, even if its original context in the song might have other layers of meaning. But the core idea is profound. When you're sad, when you're stressed, when you're feeling down, you could do something destructive, right? You could engage in self-harm, or simply act out in ways you later regret. But what if, instead, you channeled all that into a melody, into a song? Then suddenly, that instrument, that act, it's no longer just a simple pastime. It transforms. So, I'm telling you, sometimes all it takes is a slight expansion of our perspective. We'll discover that many things we routinely dismiss as ordinary or useless are anything but. If only we try, if only we pretend to attach a mission to them, they cease to be ordinary. Even something as seemingly mundane as getting enough sleep, going to bed early. Say you go to sleep at 10 p.m. For many, this might even carry a hint of guilt. Why aren't you using this time to do something productive, something to help others? But now, just imagine, what if you were able to help someone else go to bed early to get enough sleep? Suddenly, you'd be a person with an extraordinary ability, wouldn't you? It doesn't make sense for an action to be ordinary on one side and then suddenly become great on the other. There must be some inherent greatness within the action itself, right? While we know life is relative, we can't operate with such a double standard. There's always some underlying meaning. And so, this part, being related, I wanted to share it with you so you can connect the dots, so we can all acknowledge and appreciate that just because something seems simple, it doesn't mean it's trivial or meaningless. Now, let's circle back to the quality of activities in our personal treasure trove, those things we do when we suddenly find ourselves with free time. Is there a plan or a way to really leverage this idea to improve our lives? First, I truly believe this, and I'll say it again, the more activities someone has in their personal treasure trove, the happier they are. Because you create your own happiness, you have your own private reserve of joy. You're simply exceptional. No need for further explanation. You are exceptional. I know there are people who, when they suddenly have free time, become restless, anxious, even depressed. They have nothing to fall back on, nothing to lean into. Those individuals really need to reflect on this. So, what should they reflect on? Imagine for a moment. Suppose one day, you unexpectedly find yourself with a chunk of free time. Ask yourself, do I have anything within myself that I can genuinely enjoy during that spontaneous period? If the answer is no, then your life is precarious, fragile. You need to attend to it, starting now. Find an activity to cultivate. You absolutely must have an activity that brings you immense happiness when you do it alone. Because we all need activities we can do by ourselves. I'm not saying you should become a recluse, or that you should always be alone, or that you don't need community. But clearly everyone needs some time, just themselves. So, you need these kinds of activities. Some people write journals, others engage in creative writing, some pursue an activity that holds deep, personal meaning for them. You need to find yours. Of course, it's not easy. It's not like you can just say, I want to put this activity into my treasure trove, and it magically appears. It requires cultivation, it requires daily effort to transform it into a habit. The key is to make it a habit, and then to truly enjoy that habit. So, if this morning you decide, for example, that you love poetry and you're going to sit down and write a poem, don't view it as something ordinary or meaningless. Write it, and more importantly, sustain it. We never know when we might find ourselves lonely, when it might just be us and ourselves. Life is long, the future unpredictable. And in those moments, sitting down to write a poem isn't a bad way to spend your time at all. We have to prepare for those times, don't we? We have to practice it every day until it becomes second nature. Or consider habits like reading, drawing, or playing a solitary game like Sudoku. Cultivate and maintain these. I have a friend who absolutely loves Sudoku. They've been playing it since childhood and still love it. I imagine others might think it's pointless, but I see my friend as having a true treasure trove. They're not easily bored or anxious. Long flights, no problem for them. They're not fidgeting, not wondering, oh my goodness, I have so much free time, what do I do? They're not unsettled. They just sit and solve Sudoku puzzles. Clearly, isn't that a wonderful thing? Don't tell me we don't all aspire to that state of calm, of inner stability. We absolutely do, don't we? So, nurture practice and develop habits related to things you can do by yourself. And let me reiterate, so there's no misunderstanding, you still live a social life, but you also need those anchor points, those periods of time dedicated just to you. And if you have a treasure trove that's as full as possible, then congratulations! You are a truly rich person in terms of happy life experiences. That, my friends, brings us to the profound core of what we've been exploring today. The single, most powerful idea I want you to carry with you is this: true, lasting happiness and resilience aren't found solely in grand external achievements or constant social engagement, but in the deliberate cultivation of a rich internal world. It's about recognizing that every seemingly small, solitary act, whether it's writing poetry, playing music, or simply getting enough rest, holds immense potential. When you choose to imbue these personal activities with a conscious mission, even if that mission is simply to nurture your own soul or share a piece of beauty, you elevate them from mere pastimes to powerful anchors of self-worth and profound joy. Don't wait for external validation. Build your own internal treasure trove of meaningful habits. Because in those quiet moments, when it's just you, these cultivated joys will be the wellspring of your most enduring peace and strength. Go forth and enrich your own inner landscape, for that is where true wealth resides.